Sarah Richardson, Pittsburgh. Oh no, she's
Yeah.
not Pittsburgh. She is
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see how this is working. God, this is a crazy day. Mm. All right, hang on. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, yeah, here we go. Yeah, we're having all kinds of problems today. Uh, we've got 10 people in the house. I mean, this is beyond crazy. This is crazy. So for those of you who are joining us, there seems to be somebody typing in the background, and we've changed microphones, and it didn't change anything. And it happens afterwards. It's like an echo.
Yeah.
It must be one of my galactic voices coming in and merging with me. Well, you guys are going to be doing most of the talking. I'll keep my comments to a minimum so we don't distract anybody. Bruce says he doesn't know if he wants this job anymore. Oh, you're the one typing. Yeah, it looks like right now we're only being allowed to go on to Soulogy One Studios Facebook page. Let's see here. It's only okay. Ian, Dana, thank you for joining me in this crazy energy. I don't know what's going on. We had problems on the last show. There's something going on. It's a very powerful day. Morgan reminded us on the last show, it's the March of Ides, the day that all debts are settled. And if we look at that from an energetic standpoint, there might be some deep, deep meaning, epiphany, and revelation in it. So we've got this mysterious typist or something happening behind my voice. We've changed microphones, didn't do anything, and 3 different microphones, and it's still doing it. So I'll try to figure it out after this show. We met Ian Morris listening to Smile, right? Isn't it? Yeah, listening to Smile, frequency coded. What does that say? Frequency
Frequency-minded music.
Frequency-minded music. So I'm just going to do a real quick intro, ask you a question, let you guys run with this because I don't want to distract people with this typing behind my voice. We met Ian through a beautiful sister, and there's quite a few people in the Soulogy community that think very much of him. His music's incredible. Their productions are incredible. So we met Ian a few times. We played some of his music. We tried to help him expand awareness of what he's doing. And then at the end of the last conversation, I believe it was, we found out that there was another side to the story, a lot like Soulogy, because I'm kind of like, on the screen, but there's something equally a part of this that's not on the screen much. And we found out that was Dana. And I just saw Ian for the first time in quite some time, and I had to tell him, "You look really good. Dana's good for you," But so yeah. So how did this happen? What's your story? Everybody wants to know and needs to hear about the possibilities and realities of these couples coming together that aren't just the old romantic routine that everybody thought the twin flame was. And I'm not saying that I'm a twin flame or you're a twin flame. I'm just using the vernacular that they've been using in these communities. But everyone, needs to hear about how it happened. There's code in it. And also what you represent as well, because together you've created a third energy. And that's all in alignment with the Age of Trinity. So I think you guys get it. I know you're both lit. And thank you for coming in and honoring us with your presence and sharing space with us today. How did this all start? Who busted the move?
Well, so I'll let Dana tell the story, but it was interesting because it was basically a telephone call that started the whole thing, and on that telephone call, I'm a very intuitive person. Dana's very intuitive, and I think we just both felt the energy, that was taking place as more than just a business call. Um, and so it just kind of led to deeper and deeper and more consistent conversations. So, but I'll let Dana explain.
Let me just say this real quick.
Yeah.
The typing is on your voice too.
Is
No.
it? Okay.
So what the hell does that mean?
I don't know. Maybe it's a clipping of the, like the bandwidth or something. I don't know.
Wow, I've never had this happen. Go ahead, Dana. Everybody seems to be okay with it.
Well, thanks for having us, by the way. Oh, this is such an honor. So much. So much.
Thank you.
It all kind of began. I was struggling with chronic illness and led to a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic attacks, and it just was unmanageable, really. And I would try many different things, in traditional medicine to heal, to get better, to manage, to find relief. And it just didn't work for me. And so I was working with a life coach that was actually one of Ian's affiliates, because he has an affiliate program, as you heard about last time you interviewed him. And she was really trying to help me work through my anxiety, work through it naturally, work through anything coming up for me, any past trauma, all of that. And it was a lot. It was overload, So she had sent me this text. I said, give this music a try. I know you have a bunch of anxiety. This will work. And she sent me this link to this track. And I'm like, as soon as I got it, I was like, oh, please, this stuff doesn't work. Like, I've tried all this stuff, and I was very, very, very closed off to it. And so I just ignored it. And then one day I was having a really, really bad panic attack. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. So I scrolled through. I'm trying to find her text message. I'm like, where's that song? Where's that music? And I found it, and I sat down on the couch. I played the music, and it was just like, I was like, what is this? Like, it after a few minutes or so, and I was completely like calming down. It totally took my mind, my thoughts. When you're having panic attacks, not only are you having the thoughts that created them, but also the thoughts of like, what's happening to me? So you're just like in this huge swarm of like craziness. So I ended up, it immediately calmed me down. It calmed down my anxiety. It calmed down my thoughts. And it even calmed down my two crazy hyper. They're just so rambunctious. So they actually came right next to me and cuddled next to me on the couch, which is very unusual, unless they're completely warm. But from that point on, I was like, I really need to look into what this is all about. And I started researching, listening to Smile and Ian, and I bought a handful of his other albums, and I just started working with them. I used it in meditation, but I also used it in my yoga practice. I used it on hikes. I used it cleaning the house, driving, whatever. I mean, I didn't know how to use it. So I was just throwing it in whenever I could. And it was like this gradual change in my whole being. And it really intrigued me. And so after about a year and a half or so of doing this on my own, from researching that he had the affiliate program from Life Coach. So I called him up or reached out to him and wanted to find out more information. And so he gave me a call, and that was the start of that. And we really just started kind of clicking and talking and working together. Just, I don't know, it was like one thing just synced up with the other. It was like perfect flow.
And I don't know about you, Todd, with you guys, but Dana came in and gave a different perspective. I'd been running the company for about 2.5 years whenever Dana and I met, and then she came in and it was like a spring cleaning, where it was like she was looking at some of the, yeah, it's good. It's like, I think whenever you have the male and female perspective, it's obviously coming from different experiences and also just perspectives in general. But she was looking at some of the yoga that I was putting together working with yoga studios, and she's a yoga teacher, so she saw that from a different perspective and started kind of putting an input saying, what do you got going on here? What's going on with this playlist? Let's look at, she was like, there's all kinds of different yogas. You got yin yoga, flow yoga, she's like going through and she's like, let's give different playlists, not just yoga in general, but let's get specific on the style that you're going for and achieve that. The flow. And so it just really got better. And I think there was other things where she started adding in a weekly email to the affiliates and creating what she calls Recalibration Monday, which really helps people kind of gain perspective for the new week and gives them some exercises, mindfulness techniques, meditation, in combination with the music. And we just started getting tons of emails from the affiliates saying this was so much needed, this really helps. And I think that where she started adding her divine feminine energy into the project, it started really taking a different form in a stronger way. And there was a lot of things where I didn't know that they were missing until they were there. You know what I'm saying? Like when that I was just really busy. When you run your own company, it's you're always working and striving and keep moving forward. But having somewhere that can help bring more balance to that has just been phenomenal, and made it better and stronger.
And we both learned a lot.
Yeah, we
both learned a lot, not just in our relationship and personally, but in the business and spiritually and all the way around. So it's amazing.
Thank you. That's the first thing I want to say. Thank you. And to your comment, Ian, absolutely. 2,200, more than that, like 2,300 shows ago, we were totally different energy on this program. And so she stepped in and it just went to a different level. And that's happened again there's been a couple other waves. But yeah, I totally relate to what you both said. And it's such a great example of the energetic equalization that's occurring in these couples, be they same sex or opposite sex, be they romantic or not romantic. But there's a lot to be said for what you both just said. We could probably stop the show right now and do like a infomercial, But so is it safe to say that? And again, I love to look at this through the energetic eyes, right? Is it safe to say that same type of dance has occurred in your non-business relationship?
Yeah, definitely. I say I'll let Dana, give some information, but basically what I want to say is I think the most challenging part that people don't really talk about, comfortable things that come. I mean by that is when you're so, like, Dana and I are so similar in so many ways. It's almost like the same person, like our behaviors, our experience, the things that we're interested in. We're so similar, but when you're with so many things in common with someone, those mirrors happen. The mirror comes up where things might challenge you or also get under your skin, where you're like, why is this bugging me so much? And it's a call for you to look in that moment to grow. This relationship for me has been one of the biggest growth experiences because I've been challenged so much, not in negative ways, but in all ways, like challenged with the business, challenged in our relationship, to grow more, to become more enlightened. When Dana came in, she started bringing different like focuses to my attention, like Kundalini yoga, Bhakti yoga, going deeper, like with more of the philosophy, and just really challenging perspectives of the world And I think that that was huge opportunity for growth. And I think it also made me see in past relationships where those experiences presented themselves and I totally didn't get it because I wasn't supposed to get it at that time. I think this, relationship came at a time that was completely unexpected, I think, for both of us. And it helped us to grow the business into a completely different direction than I think either one of us would have had the knowledge to do from the beginning.
It sounds like, no, I was just going to say real quick, it sounds, well, this is crazy. This is insane. I was just going to say real quick, it sounds like you just said that neither one of you alone could have done it. And I think that speaks to the third energy that you create. It's almost like it has its own consciousness and like a triad. Go ahead, Dana.
I agree with you completely. And I think that it helps you heal on a different level. I think a lot of times the people in our lives, whether, like you said, whether it's a romantic relationship or any kind of relationship, sometimes you don't know, am I fully healed? Have I processed through all of my old wounds and my trauma and my, things that he's talking about, like the mirror work. And it brings those things up, and it really gives you the chance to take a look at yourself a little deeper and be like, okay, hold on, wait, this is coming up. Let me work through it. This is my opportunity to grow here. And so I think it's just really cool that was able to happen for us, and that we were able to step back and perceive it like that, and use it for healing, and use it for growth, and use it for our own personal well-being. So
Yeah, I thank you for that. And I can relate to so much of what you're saying, both literally your words and then energetically even more so. For one thing, I kind of see how our relationship, if you pay attention and look at it, it's kind of following the collective transformation. It's kind of weird. And one of the things that's, been happening, or that's happened in the evolution of it, I'd like to hear what's happened with y'all, is Ian made the comment a minute ago, about that it wasn't bad, but, making you look at yourself, challenging yourself. Morgan used to tell me, I just want you to be the best you can be, period. Right. I mean, how much more can somebody love you? Right. And so my point is that over time, it's like, you're with somebody who's handling their stuff. Right. And you're like Ian said, you're like these mirrors so close to each other, and you have all these similarities, yet there's these polarities, right? And we used to talk about it more. We've, like a lot of things, the telepathy and the intuition's kicking in. We talk about it less, but the understanding is clearer. The path is clearer. It's more solid. I mean, does that resonate with y'all? Have you gone through a period where you don't have to talk about it as much because you're energetically aligned?
You want me to? Yes. so basically, there's so much where I think, like, have you ever gone through periods of the awakening and each phase is different? Like maybe one phase was brought through conversations with friends, things like that. Maybe there's another thing where things in your life aren't going so well. You get a flat tire, you're having problems with your bills or whatever it is. And like different phases of the awakening, there's like different things. Like maybe one phase you're watching a lot, or you're reading more books. You're really focusing on your diet and getting more in line with eating healthier. And I feel like with our relationships, we've seen these phases where there's different things that we're excited about as individuals and as a couple. And I think that going through those phases have just been like the waves of enlightenment. It's like, I think when you commit yourself to a relationship that challenges you, you stand in those waves that come. Some of them feel really good and you're in the groove of love. And then some of those are really challenging, where you really have to dig deep to move to that next wave, to the next level by being honest with yourself, and by, I think the biggest thing, that Dana and I will agree on, I'm almost positive, is the vulnerability that is needed to be able to get into those communications, to move into the next wave.
Be honest with yourself. Get honest about what's coming up for you and what is really what you really have to look at. And sometimes that's uncomfortable. And so I think that it's kind of like nature, like there's always seasons, and it's always like something else is like, even if it's a hard time that you're going through, like if it's winter and it's really cold, dark winter, but that spring and summer are coming. That that's the way of life. That's the way it works. And so it's also being able to be okay with your inner self and your inner world and your inner landscape, and stand that up and make sure that that is where it needs to be, so that you are stable in whatever is going on around outside of you, and you can stand back, take a better perspective and a better reaction, and instead of sometimes in relationships, we react and fly off the handle because it's emotional. We don't always stand back and be like, okay, wait a minute. So it's learning those different things too, which actually equate to all of life, right? So it's been a really great process like that.
I'll drink to that. I love the fact that you both, when you talk, you take it into yourself. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously there's a partner involved, but the way you speak, what can I learn? And that's what I was talking about. When you're with somebody and you're aligned in the same place, on or about the same place, and they're working on themselves, then it's a totally different type of relationship. It's like a level of, it's beyond words, really. Trust, faith, love. You know what I mean? But again, you guys are pinpoint accuracy as far as I'm concerned. So, like in terms of your relationship, obviously you both spend time with yourself, and whether that be in your own thoughts, taking a walk or whatever, however you do it. Do you ever have moments, be they short, be they long, whatever, where you're energetically separate so that you can kind of pull your power in again, that type of thing?
Yeah.
We totally need that. Like, I mean, when you first get together, everybody's kind of like this. You're synced up. You don't want to leave each other's side, and that's really, really great. And it's awesome. But then, like, you start to learn, okay, but I still need time for me, and he still needs time for him, and we need to always, nurture that, because they always say, like, if you don't take care of yourself and fill your cup up, you can't do that for somebody else. And so we learned that sometimes the hard way, and started to realize, no, this is still important, especially as we work together all the time too. So we're together a lot. So it's sometimes actually planning for it and like taking, saying we have to do this because this is important. This will help us in all aspects of our life if we can. So it's been really, really important.
Yeah, I think so. And there's good. It's interesting because there's things that feel good right away, and that are uncomfortable at first, but then you learn through being open and being in that vulnerable space to talk about it, that you end up seeing things that you not have liked or thought you would like, or that you were kind of set in your ways. When you become more open and you experience things that sometimes you can start seeing the benefit of those things, and like then it makes more sense where there's all these things that are aligned, and then there's these few things that are very, very, very different, within I. And things that I'm different that challenge her, and there's things that she's different that challenges me. And I think that you start seeing God's plan in that partnership even more. I think when we're younger or you're not in a real committed relationship, that vulnerable, sacred space, it's easy to write that off as, I don't want to deal with that. But when these little fringy things, come into your awareness, and you start being more open and almost meditating on it, as an individual and as a couple, you start seeing that these pairings that are a little different that challenge you are actually the things that are helping you grow, to see different perspectives, to try different experiences. And I'll give you an example. Right before COVID hit, Dana, we always got up early, like around maybe 5 a.m. We would get up. But Dana was always getting up really early. She got up at like 3 in the morning and started meditating and doing yoga. And so for a long time, she was doing that on her own. And then she encouraged me to try more meditation at that hour, between like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And when I first got up, to be honest, I did not like it at all. It was too much for me. It was like super challenging. But the more I started seeing benefit in it. And matter of fact, I wrote a whole poetry book. I started getting up at 3 o'clock in January 2020. Started getting up at 3 in the morning. And within the second week of February, I had wrote about 70, it was almost 70 poems that I wrote in that time that just coming. And so I started seeing the benefit of being an open channel in that early hour, between like 3 and 6 a.m. And, Dana started educating me about the yogis and about the sacredness around that time. And so it was something where it literally changed my life, because I was willing to be vulnerable and to get through the uncomfortableness and to communicate like that. And there's things where both of us have done that in each other's life. And like I said, it's not always the easiest thing in the beginning, but a lot of times if you'll talk about it and be vulnerable and be willing to experience it, you'll see that pairing oftentimes is there to help you evolve and grow.
Powerful testimony. I told you that when the tech is crazy, it's always a great show. I appreciate y'all sharing this. You're being open and sharing your experience, because you say a lot. You really do. It's very substantial. I love what Dana said too about the necessity of taking that time alone, because it's like in the old paradigm, in the old relationships, what was the only thing that we scheduled, or that had to be a part of every day, right? In those, codependent, toxic, sometimes relationships, obviously our perception of what we thought intimacy was. But, the fact is these new relationships, which is really representative of the new energy on the earth, whether you're with someone or you're not, is real intimacy. And taking time for yourself, what can be more intimate than that? And obviously, and I know this, firsthand, but when you do for yourself, you're actually doing for the other. And I think that's the energy we're stepping into, that collaborative triad trinity energy. It's powerful.
Yeah.
It really is. So now let me ask you just a little bit. You don't have to go into this in detail like I do sometimes, but have you noticed a difference in intimacy? And I don't mean just, close off intimacy. I just mean the intimacy of the relationship. And is there, in terms of, in contrast to relationships you may have had prior, and is there any type of connection that is generated from your energy that may involve dimensional, creative downloads, divine episodes, whatever? Can you relate to that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing I think of right off is the ways in which manifesting has changed by doing it as a couple. You know what I'm saying? Like where you create vocabulary, you create an energy that is so different than what you would do on your own. You know, like you might on your own in manifesting, you might be in prayer right now. You might give yourself some focus, you know, those kind of things, or even like, you know, a strategy, you know, kind of pulling that in and doing it on certain days or, you know, full moons, new moons, you know, all those kind of things. But I think with Dana, it was really interesting because when we would be talking about manifesting, having a partner in that co-creation where you might say something and then, you know, it's like kind of like that whole take with Mother Teresa where they invited her to come to an anti-war rally. She said, thanks, I don't want to attend an anti-war rally, but if you have a peace rally, you know, let me know, and I'll come to that. And how she got really clear on the difference between that was the words and how the words changed the focus, right? And I think there's times where I'll be speaking into something I'm wanting, and Dana will say, well, is that really what you want? Like, it might be, you know, better if you said it this way. And like, I think the man, you know, the male energy in me, it's like whenever that first would start happening, you would say, like, it would be a challenge to your ego or a challenge to your knowledge or to you as a person. But I think that in the new roles that you see that unroll in these relationships, you learn to stand in that vulnerability and be secure in your masculinity because it's not a challenge to your masculinity. It's like your partner said about, you know, I want you to be the best person can be. And I think that if you're with the right person, there's a trust. And I think that's where it starts, is that you trust, like, no matter how frustrated we get at each other or how bad of a day we're having or anything like that, because that's normally thinks everyone's perfect or on this pedestal, but nobody is, right? Like, I tell people that we make meditation music because we need it the most. You know what I mean? Like, it's something that we need in our lives. And so, you know, it's basically just that fact that I think that the manifesting has changed because the intimacy, whether it be ability or it be passion or it be the teamwork, you know, that co-creating helps you feel more comfortable. And so you settle into roles that are just so different than what you could be on your own. And I think that it takes that kind of stepping out on that limb of the vulnerability and the challenges that arise from the outside or from the inside that help you move to that new understanding, new way of believing.
Yeah. Equality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I can relate to what you're saying. I'd like to hear Dana's comments. You know, what you just described is, like, to me, the perfect description. If you break it down a little bit, so much of what we've constructed in this world has been from the masculine as a result of where the patriarchal template put us into the, you know, into the plot, you know. So there's been this, I really identify with what you're saying, because, like, for me, it was like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this by this day, you know, and it's like charge, which is the old, not old in a bad way, but this was the vehicle we were using, which was lacking the feminine intuition, right? So I can think, for example, you know, I wanted to launch this network in 2018 or whatever. You know, it's been 2-3 years, whatever. And one day, as it was getting close, because we got really close back in May of 2018, I think, or 2019. And then Morgan just basically said to me, why force it? Why not? Why do you have to do it now? Why not just keep using Facebook? Because at the time we were just doing it on my page. And so, like you said, you take it in, and you're able to take it in because you've moved past, you know, having a reaction to, you know, what you perceive as criticism or whatever. And again, these are programs playing, and you try it. And I've seen that happen in my life. I hear it in your words. And I see it actually happening collectively. And I believe it's happening through individuals and couples that are, um, taking at full face value the women's intuition, really in ourselves, if you're a man or a woman, and in your partner, if it's a man or a woman. But yeah, thank you for another great explanation, hearing me out. So, Dana, do you have any comments on that?
I think you mentioned about any downloads and any inspiration kind of things, and I think that has been a huge thing. Even just the creative elements and almost like opening up, you're opening up your heart, you're opening up your vulnerability, and it actually starts to, yeah, like portal, and use those opportunities during intimacy to create, to create that portal and to create that space to send out, to vibrate out that intention or that healing or just love. And I think that when exploring that, it opens up like a whole other level of intimacy and a whole other level of love and passion and anything really. And it really brought in a lot more creativity, a lot more inspiration, a lot more grounding, and so it just all around created a better space, a better person, a better.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And what about like with, because I know you guys were producing, last time I talked to you, you were producing, I think, one a month, if I'm not mistaken. Are you still producing one CD a month?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So
A lot of work.
we
A lot of work.
That's what I
yeah,
was going to ask you. How much time does that take? I mean, this is good information for people because there are these new endeavors that are occurring as a result of these connections. Like, how much of your day is spent, for lack of a better word, working?
So about 20 to 23 days in the studio working on music, and it's fun. Could be worse. Doing other stuff, but um, the we make a new album. We look at the astrology information. Dana's we call her the rebel astrologer. So she gets with me with the astrology, and we sit down and just have a meeting about the upcoming month. The astrology energies that are coming. We also look at the current events where they are the month before and what we're looking at the forecast for political, social, that platform as well. And what we do is we go into meditation and we create the frequencies. We get a list of the frequencies and we go into creation mode. And lots of times Dana will do kirtan or vocal chanting or even like kind of spoken word
Really?
poetry, and we'll put that on top of the music, and then bring in guest musicians every month. Well, not every month, but every couple months we bring in guest musicians from around the world that will add to collaboration. And so it's a lot of time, but we also just signed up with celebrity chef Pete Evans. He's been on like Martha Stewart like 10 or 12 times. He's got 2 movies out on Netflix. One's called The Magic Plant. It's about marijuana. And the other one's called Magic Pill. And it's about the keto diet. And that's on Netflix. You can watch it. But we just signed up. He started a new network called the Evolve TV network. And so what he's doing is creating a platform that kind of rivals Gaia TV. And so we just signed a 1-year exclusivity deal to be the only musician on his platform, working with some of the music for social media and some of his fun videos. And then people will be able to listen to our music by signing up to be on his network. And so Dana's doing a new meditation every month for that platform. And so not only are we doing the album for our affiliates, but now she's doing guided meditation for the Evolve network once a month. And so Nice. Yeah, we're keeping busy.
It's a lot of work, a lot of work. And a lot of people don't realize that Ian, I mean, he creates the music, he mixes and produces the music. It's like, it's a lot for one person to do that every month. A lot of people don't even know that or realize it. I know for me, whenever I came in and started working with him, I had no idea what it took to create an album or to even create one track. I was just shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. So these albums are very, very special. Very special.
Yeah, I can tell the volume of energy and what you're producing. I can tell how comprehensive and large it is. And no matter whether someone's single or someone's in a partnership or whatever their whatever their experience is every day, traditional 9 to 5. One thing that I think we all have in common in these circles is that we have acknowledged that there's something huge happening. It's affecting me on a personal level. It's both magical, beautiful, confusing, complicated, simple. It's all these things. And so that's a lot on an individual, regardless of what their functions are every day. So I was just kind of curious as to, and I know everybody's different, because I can totally relate to what you're saying about Ian. I don't make music, but there's a lot of energy that, especially as time goes on, that almost you're almost like trying to offset depletion, because you've got to integrate. Like for me, after a show, in 5 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, could be whatever. But you know, uh, what I'm trying to say is, like, in our old lifestyle, we work 22 days a month, 23 days a month, Monday through Friday. Then maybe you work 8 to 5 or 8 hours a day. Um, you know, in this new phase, there's a lot more flexibility in our schedule, especially with COVID and quarantines and all that stuff. We've already been doing this, people like us, but now a lot of people are working at home. How much time would you say do you spend working on yourself, which can also be working, with each other, which is kind of classified as non-business? And I know that it kind of feathers in together, but you know what I mean? Like, if you have a traditional 40-hour work week, are you spending 10 hours, 20 hours, I mean, doing your own thing, meditating together, meditating alone, yoga, and that type of thing?
You want to go?
I think that a work, something that we work on, I mean, weekly, daily. It's a constant, like, balancing act almost, to, especially whenever it gets really busy towards the end of the month and Ian's really trying to get that album finished. There's times where literally he's in the studio all day, takes breaks to eat, and that's about it. And like, even sometimes doesn't even go to bed. You know what I mean? Like, it's because it's drive, plus it's a lot of work. So having to be able to, but then there's also the general business aspect that still needs things done with it. So it's a balancing act of finding that time for ourselves, time for us as a couple. And so it's honestly something we keep working on. It's never perfect. It's never 100% figured out. It's like, okay, let's feel this out. Like, what do you need? And we always ask that, like, well, what do you need? Like, or you ask yourself that too. But
And there's definitely times where Dana will come into the studio and she'll just see on my face that I look so tired, like just have put so much into it. And I'm just not someone that gives up. And so she'll have to say, maybe if we went for a walk right now, let's go for a walk. You want to go for a walk? And I'd be like, yeah, let's go for a walk. And then she'd be like, maybe we could go get some tea. Maybe we could go do this. And so it's funny because there's times where she'll be working really hard on a project and I'll see that same look on her face and I can just tell that she needs a break. And I think in that partnership, you have that person that can see beyond your, tunnel vision when working on something, and it helps to have someone that in a loving manner, says, hey,
Hey,
let's
put on those headphones. Maybe you need to meditate.
yeah, exactly. And so, it's
Yeah.
just funny because it really has helped. And I think, just like all the other aspects where I said Dana has really helped make it better, but in my personal life, like I starting to even like it was never something I would do in the middle of the day, go for a walk, right? I would just be like, I got work to do. I got to do this work, And so it would be like the work's still going to be there. Let's just take a walk after lunch. Let's each go for a walk, and then we'll come back. We'll be more refreshed and have a break. We'll be in nature, and then we'll come back. And we'll give our all again. And so it's something that has really helped. Having a partner that helps you see beyond yourself. Like to call you out when it's time to do something different. And I think that that's really been good for both of us.
Yeah, I think we both do that for each other.
Yeah.
I can be a busy, like, keep going, keep going. And it's the same thing for me. So it's like it's a balancing. It's an up and down kind of thing. So it's pretty cool. And definitely reminding each other, like if there's been a really stressful month and, hey, got to get on that yoga mat. Hey, got to get meditating. Maybe this week we need to meditate a little more, So it's definitely nice to have somebody that has that same beliefs and the same values and the same, core heart, and it makes it easier to stick the things that really matter to you the most, like your meditation practice, your yoga, your being out in nature. And sometimes you still have to do it for yourself. You still have to be able to take care of yourself and say, I gotta go for a walk, or I gotta, I gotta have some space to meditate. And time again, a balancing act, but it's beautiful.
I think the last thing I'll say is the Deepak Chopra said consciousness was not a destination, that it was a process. And I think that the relationship is the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like we're always changing our frequency based on our environment or based on our internal world that we're creating through thought or belief system. And I think that there's lots of times that we think if I just had this, or if my relationship was like this, then I would be happy. But it might be happiness for a little while, but it's going to inevitably change again. And you've got to learn how to roll with the flow, go with the flow, And I think you do that by being vulnerable and through communication. And I think even the uncomfortable call outs from time to time where someone calls you on your shit, just like says, you're working too much, you're stressing out so much, just unplug for a few. You're gonna be okay. And it's funny because people think like, well, Ian runs a meditation business. He's probably just calm as hell all the time, and it's just not true. It's like I'm just like everyone else. It's like the hard part about what we do is not the music or engaging with people. The hard part is trying to get yourself out there against the tech overlords with Facebook and Instagram and Google. Your information without you paying $5,000 a month to the man, right? So it's about getting outside and getting your message out. And I think that's the hardest thing that we work on is trying to connect with people in an age though governed by oppression, where, especially COVID, it makes it even harder, like contacting people and reaching out to people. So I think just working on the business side of things, is really probably the only thing that's super challenging. Everything else is natural. And it's not that we don't like the business side. We do. I mean, there is some fun in running of those things. But I think that it's just, we're, like you said, we're in the middle of this transition. You know what I'm saying? So like the old paradigm's dying. The new paradigm is striving to, ascend. And that whole shift process is it's like, unstable ground, and you're trying to find your footing moving forward.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like a teeter-totter on a skateboard. But two words come to mind as I listen to you both. One is movement. Both physically and energetically and creatively, whatever. And I forgot what the other one was now. Oh, active, being active. Like, and I guess it's kind of the same thing, right? But I like what you said about, you know, I don't know. For me, it seems like there is no answer. It's moving all the time, just like you said about the relationship. It's the energy. It's the universe. I mean, the universe is not stagnant, so we're pieces of it, right? And so, like, for me, like I told Morgan, you know, a week ago, you know, February I think was a pretty strong month. I don't know the Rebel astrology, but I do want to ask you about Rebel astrology in a minute. But you know, a lot of people were talking about it. We're all getting it, that people are picking up on the same stuff. You know, we can acknowledge it. But and so there was this period, because we went to Texas and we got caught up in this winter storm, and we didn't have the consistency of the broadcasting as we normally do. And so we get back home, and it's, you know, you come out of a big kind of a vortex experience, and, you know, all these things are happening, and you still get up to go do what you do every day. And I just told her, like, you know what? Because we've been doing like 2 a day, 5 days a week for maybe a couple of months, maybe a couple of extras every week. And I said, look, just put 3 or 4 a day on, you know, because this is, I got to stay busy. I got to stay active. For me anyway, that movement, you know, whether it be walking or sitting in the studio, you know, or creating, you know, meditations or whatever the case may be. I do want to ask about the Rebel astrology, but I also want to ask if you guys, I don't have the, and I should have set it up. I should have, you know, set it up like I did before we played some of your music. But do you guys, no pressure, no stress, do you want to like do a little something? You mentioned spoken word with the music, or, you know, just a little taste of what you guys can do together.
Do you have anything?
I could play you the song that's on this month's album. Dana just did a little. It's like just spark. You know, it's sprinkles of words, but it's basically a kind of trip hop
Oh,
song,
cool.
but more down tempo. And Dana did a little intro with that, and I could play that because I have it on, you know, kind of queued up.
Yeah.
If you want to do
Yeah,
that.
play a little bit of that. Let's get a little
Okay.
taste of it.
Okay.
Close one. If we don't love ourselves, how can we love our higher power? We are part of that higher power. Lives in our hearts.
So it's just like, you know, there's some spoken there, and
Yeah. This is
you know,
this is what we need, man. We need these. Like, I love the beat, and I love the way she put that in there, and the way y'all put it together. I'm all for anything new, anything different, anything that's not been done before. And that's really you. I think I told you this when I first met you. You're like, you know, part of, I'm sure, others that are creating a new genre, because you can't really put it in ambient, and you can't really, you know what I mean? I mean, you just put on a meditation video with some trip hop. I mean,
yeah.
that's very cool, right?
Yeah, so
And then,
we just put out this past month, we just put out albums besides the affiliate album. So we did albums in 1 month, right? So we put out an album for meditations called For Pain Relief, and it's targeting using theta pattern, the stress response of the body through the binaural beats. But what we've done is we've created a binaural beat as a carrier frequency, and then we've laid a pure tone on top of the binaural beat and created a tritone between those notes. And it's just been something that's been powerful for healing people. And then we, at the same month, we released a Shamanic Journey for the Modern World, Volume 2, which is more earthy sound. Dana is very much into the earthy sounds and 432 frequency. And
Right.
I'm more of a 528 frequency. That's my favorite frequency to work with. So we do a lot of different styles. We do all kinds of music that's kind of like new agey. We do sonic drumming. We do kirtan. We do vocal toning. We do light language. Can I show you one of the light language tracks real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Show us. We got time. Go ahead. I'm going to put your website up on the platforms, the ones that are on. So everybody has it. Listening to smile.com.
So, just it's a lot of
So like something like that.
Song there, just right
Yeah.
in the light language.
Dude, I mean, you just put it out there. You just keep putting it together and put it out there. I mean, it's like, I love it because I love the, like the, I don't know, the attitude or the way of, just put it out there and go on to the next one, put it out there with, intent and everything that you do. But like something like that, like somebody just mentioned, Ann Houston, George Taylor, thank you. The pain relief music is so healing. I've been using it for a month now and would not be without it. Powerful energy. So like something like you just played, what is that specifically for, some type of frequency or to exhibit some type of frequency?
So that album for the Shamanic Journey, that's on the Shamanic Journey Volume 2. And so that album, a lot of people are using for own journeys. They use them in ritual. They use them in prayer. There's people that are using them to create chants where they're working with a group, like a guided meditation, and kind of, incorporating that in. And then we have more meditation music that's more for like sound bath and for like going to sleep and getting help with like pain management or anxiety. It really depends on the album and what we're going for with the theme and the intention. But overall, the albums that we're making for our affiliates are just what we would call a sound journey. You take someone, at a mid-tempo and you start dropping them down with each track to where they're in a meditation at the end, and it helps. It's just like hypnotherapy, like when you go into a session and they kind of drop you into hypnosis and you're kind of working on a theme or an intention, a focus during that session. And so our albums are very much like that. They're working on a theme or a focus for that, target of intention that we're working with.
Right on. Right on. And I know we're running over just a little bit, but I've got to ask Dana, what in the hell is Rebel Astrology? Because I like the title. I totally resonate with the title.
It was Ian, came up with that.
So Dana, she was talking about how a lot of the astrology sites, when you look at them and when you're looking at other people doing astrology, she said, it's all just the same kind of stuff. And she said, I just want to get more real and tell people like how I'm really feeling. And I said, I encouraged her, like things that are coming through you, that's your perspective and your experience, and share it. And so she started stepping into it more, and then I just started laughing, like when we were in the room working together, and I'd be like, here comes the rebel astrologer,
So it's like so I get what you mean by rebel, because it's like there's a conventional format, let's just say, and you're infusing your own intuitive and the spontaneous in the moment, which is really the same thing you're doing with the music. I feel like it's the same thing we're doing here, or attempting to do, like even with the Soulogy Fest, to have a conference or gathering that's not traditional, atypical of what we've seen before. So I really like that, the energy of that, because it's a very present type of expression and intention, right? Very cool.
Yeah.
It still
Yeah,
works out with astrology, but
yeah, I got you. Yeah, I don't want to apologize for the typing. Yeah, it's still. I was going to say, did it stop right when the show's over? But yeah, 'cause this has been a fantastic collaboration, in my opinion, and I really want to thank you both for being so open. I think we could talk a lot more. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, so maybe we can do something again. Morgan, get together with you and maybe coordinate something else, because there's a lot of things that we could talk about, both, expanding on some of the components of your relationship, your personal journeys, your work together, and rebel astrology. We can do one.
yes.
But yeah, so, thank you very much. And I look forward to further collaborations, and let's not wait so long next time. And I will go to work on whatever I can, because it appears that this typing has nothing to do with my computer or yours, because it's coming through on both sides. So I'll see what I can do to figure that out. Thank you for being patient and holding the space with me during this weirdness.
Yeah, it's okay, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So listening to smile.com, everybody, I put it into all the platforms. I don't know why we're only getting 5 of the 14 platforms today, but I'm not going to worry about it. But anyway, it's on the chats, listening to smile.com. You guys get over there and check it out. It's very reasonable. It's got a nice program. They have a nice program put together. I've looked at it. It's been a while, but and of course the music speaks for itself. But we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much.
You say
Peace
one
out.
last thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Just gonna say, so if anyone buys the album for pain relief that Annie was talking about, what we would do is buy one, gift one. So if someone purchases the album, then they can gift it to somebody that they feel like would benefit from it. So when they purchase it, if they just fill in the email address of the person they would like to send it to, then we will email the free copy to their friend. So it's buy one, gift one. We've been having a lot of 6 people really connecting with that album, and I think that we want to give back to people that are in need right now. And so if someone buys it and supports the work, then we'll gift it, and all they have to do is give us their email address and the notes of the purchase.
See, another physical manifestation of the triad energy, the Trinity, right? Because they're exchanging with you, which is an equal energy exchange, and yet you're both together, gifting it to a third person. And here we go with the 369, right? Thank you so much. Love you guys. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Wait a minute. Here we go again with the technical problem.